Thank you, Antonia. Good morning, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon. I will start my speech today with one of the last pictures that I took with my sister Natalia and my other sister Karine before my sister Natalia was killed on January 25th, 2019. We were very close and she meant a lot to me. The next picture is one of our first pictures together when I was a newborn baby. In between these two pictures, there were so many of them. My parents are photographers. My grandfather was the first photographer in Brumadinho. So photographs have always meant so much in my family. Before they meant eternalizing our happy moments. As you can see, the smile in my parents' faces in the next picture that was taken in our last New Year's together before the rupture. The smile that I see in this picture, I don't see in my parents' faces anymore. Now, the pictures mean for us something that we will never have again. We will never have happy moments with Natalia again. It is so unfair to see my parents' tears now when they look at Natalia's pictures. My parents dedicated their whole lives to raising us, teaching us to be moral and honest people, to work hard, to get what we want in life. And Natalia surely grew up to be that person. My parents did not deserve having to bury their own daughter and having to live with this pain for the rest of their lives. Natalia was a very hardworking person. She dedicated so much to Valley. She studied hard, she worked hard. You can see in the next picture a very happy moment for us when she graduated college. My parents didn't go to college. Natalia was one of the first to graduate, and it meant a lot. It's been now over a year and a half of the tragedy that killed my sister and 171 innocent people. Suffering elections of Valley to Sud, along with government incompetence, must never happen again. The lives that were taken and the destruction that took place could have been avoided. The reason why this happened here in Brazil and not in Canada or Australia, for example, is that unfortunately my country has a lot of corruption. Companies thrive over this inefficiency and incompetence, and when the crimes are exposed, they get to control the whole process of reparation, doing what they wish to the victims, choosing their own punishment, and after doing the bare minimum, they get to go to society and to the international scenario. I spoke to the mayor of Brumadinho, who confirmed that after Vale made several commitments to the municipal government, they did not keep them. He gave examples of 3 affected communities, Parque da Cachoeira, Brumado, and Córrego do Feijão. In Parque da Cachoeira, Vale promised to bring asphalt and to build a medical clinic and complete. Brumado is another community that lost 14 people. Vale promised to clean the river, but they haven't. And the most affected community is Córrego do Feijão, that is the closest one to the rupture. There were families that had lived there for their whole lives that are very attached to the land. But after the rupture, they lived through literal hell, seeing all the helicopters flying around, the firemen working, bodies being rescued, body fragments being rescued. So for these people, they took a long time to decide if they wanted to leave or to stay. And when they decided to leave, Vale told them that they had taken too much time and that now they wouldn't receive damages. The mayor also told me that after the rupture, in the beginning, Vale cooperated a lot and was very open to help, but after a while, everything changed. And with the pandemic, everything has become worse as the attention focus shifted. Vale plans on stop paying the monthly tax to the municipality in October. And Vale also wants to stop the monthly payments to the citizens of Brumadinho, which is a minimum salary or half a minimum salary. They also decided which neighborhoods would get half or a full salary with no criteria. Vale is the criminal here, and they can't decide when they're done with Brumadinho or what to do with Brumadinho. We want to know what is the long-term recovery plan for Brumadinho. The mayor expects Vale to implement or help implement a new industrial district, since they will be no longer generating over 1,500 jobs or providing 5 million reais monthly. And this money is really important for the city. He also mentioned that Vale is able to get preliminary injunctions in a very shorter time than counties, confirming that they do have influence in the judiciary. The mayor also talked about the false reparation propaganda that Vale makes. And he told me that from the many works happening in town, just 9 of them are partnerships with Vale. I also spoke with Josiane Melo, who is the president of Avabrum. Avabrum is the Association of Family Members and Victims of the Dam in Brumadinho. I'm also an affiliate of this association. The main goal is to fight for the rights of family members, to get justice for the crime and to get it in a fast manner. And that no one stays in the toxic mud. It's very important for us that all the families get the closure they deserve. I've known Josiane since I was a child. You can see in the next picture, my sister, Natalia, Josiane, and Josiane's sister. My sister Natalia is the first one at the front. Right behind her is Josiane, and Josiane's sister is next to her in pink. Josiane's sister was also killed in the tragedy. She was 5 months pregnant at the time, and Vale does not recognize her unborn niece as a victim of the crime, claiming that perhaps the pregnancy wouldn't be successful. This is just one of many of Vale's absurdities. Josiane also used to work for Vale before. She told me she used to believe that it was the safest place to be because Vale worked so hard to create a false image of security and transparency, and they always emphasized their motto of life coming first. She mentioned that there were some employees who had been there for decades that knew the risk, but Vale didn't believe them. And this is another reason why implementing the standard is so important. I asked now the CEOs and the people who are in decision-making positions in the mining companies to stop for a moment and try to imagine what it would be like to see the images of a break and know the person you love the most is there. Don't let it happen to anyone else. The standard has to be implemented. It cannot just be a document in a drawer. Effective change has to take place. It's your job to not let a tragedy happen again. I don't care how much it's going to cost to implement the standard. The money for it is there. According to Valor Invest, a Brazilian financial website, Vale's profit from April to June this year was 5.28 billion reais. You actually have to go beyond the standard. Be responsible for the lives that are indeed your responsibility. Treat each other with the same diligence you would treat yourself or your family. Don't come to the media and say your company is a precious gem because nothing is worth more than life. With COVID-19, we saw the whole world stop and governments ordering the shutdown of basically everything in order to save lives. The economic consequences of the paralyzation were left to be dealt with later. This is what is expected of you. Economic recovery is possible, life recovery isn't. Governments, it's your job to properly supervise and audit the mining companies. You are also responsible for ensuring the safety of your citizens inside the mines and making sure they go back home safely at the end of their shift, instead of returning in pieces in a body bag or not returning at all. Don't allow unreliable companies like Tufsu to certify the dams in your countries. And please understand the importance of the standard in not allowing the same certifier to certify a dam consecutively. Investors, please don't stand by and don't be persuaded as the large sums of money enter your account. Remember that this money is covered in the blood of innocent, hardworking people like my sister Natalia. Vale is going to start paying dividends again. Can you, with a clear consciousness, receive that money, knowing that the suffering victims of this brutal crime here have not nearly been repaired? Please don't invest in companies that refuse to implement the standard and make changes. And don't believe their false political discourse. Since last year, I have seen Vale spreading so many lies about the reality of Brumadinho, including saying that the river was already unusable before, when so many people used it for surviving and even for leisure, including my own father who used to fish there. I recently shared with Edwin Matthews and the PRI on my LinkedIn account the article where lawyers went to the media to expose that Vale is not keeping its end of the deal with the public prosecution, and many people who are entitled to receiving damages are being denied. They are bullies, and they act like wolves in sheep's clothing. With so many dams in critical condition and at the verge of breaking, I urge the companies to be better prepared for the worst, to treat the people around these dams with dignity. Give them a voice and appropriate support. Josiane said that the first contact that Vale made with the families was last July through a meeting with the mayor, and it took Vale months to even apologize for what they had done. After allowing such atrocity to take place, after mutilating people, after not allowing people to say a proper goodbye and permanently destroying families, communities, and the environment, it's the least a company can do. It is time for the mining sector to stop being all about profit and act with humanity. It is time for the leading companies to stop acting like they are above anyone and anything, violating government laws and basic human principles. The implementation of the standard is the first step for a very much needed, safer and more responsible mining industry. Thank you.